those guys. You think there's a couple fish there? Gee whiz. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video on the channel. It is Tuesday. Hope everybody had a good, fun and safe Labor Day. Being a full-time fishing guide, I do not guide on holiday weekends. This place gets absolutely insane. So took the entire weekend off. Did take a buddy out yesterday morning and fished for a little bit, but the lake was a joke. So we were back after it this morning. Had clients out this morning. Had a lot bigger wind than we do right now. So I'm not exactly sure what the bite's gonna bring today. But that being said, I'm sure that the fish are still right where we left them this morning, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Late summertime, the Kansas lakes are very, very wind driven. We've still got a hard thermocline. Water is still 81 degrees. We're not quite into the fall pattern yet, so wind is definitely key. But even though we don't have as much wind, I'm sure I know exactly where the fish are going to be, right where they were this morning. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is how to fish the wind and how to fish offshore structure relating to the wind. We're going to be using the same style baits that you guys have seen me use in tons of videos before. Binks, jigging spoons, jigging wraps. I don't have any plastics rigs up, but that's a possibility too. But the wind direction has changed just slightly. It was definitely way more south than it is right now. It's like south-southwest, but it's still gonna have those fish positioned up on offshore structure. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. So let's get the engine fired up and get out to the spot. All right, well, we are just rolling up to our first spot here. So I guess the first thing that I got to talk to you guys about as far as finding these actual spots on the lake is making sure that you've got a really good mapping system on your unit. So obviously, as you guys know, I'm running twin Garmin Echomap 93 SVs at my console, and then I'm running a 126 SV Ultra up in the front for live scope. The one really nice thing about the Garmin units is that they come preloaded with amazing base maps, up to 1 foot contours on most of the lakes. So that's going to allow you to really dial in your structure on the lakes as far as what you think that you're looking for. So today we're just going to be fishing two big giant offshore humps in the middle of nowhere out here. The basin depth is probably close to like 30-35, and these humps come up anywhere from like 14 to maybe 17 feet. Just a big high spot for these fish to get on, especially with big wind blowing over the top of them. It's really just an ambush point for those fish to come up over the top and feed when they want. So yeah, in looking at the map here, so you guys can see that I've got some cool colors on my map. That's Garmin's depth shading feature. If you guys have one of these units, all you've got to do on the fishing chart is go to menu, layers, water, and then depth shading. So you'll see with that green highlight to the left of depth shading, that shows that it's on. If you hit the arrow right here, this is where it's going to allow you to set all your depth shading. So all of mine are in 5 foot increments from 0 to 5, all the way from 40 to 45 feet right here. You can set those obviously to whatever you want, but a lot of the lakes that I fish pretty much top out at like 45 feet. So that's just kind of where I keep it at. But yeah, it's an easily interchangeable situation. You don't always have to have them on. You know, if we turn that off and make sure that that's grayed out, then if we go back to the fishing chart, it's just going to be a blank screen. So you're just going to have your base map there with your contours, but then we'll go back, layers, water, the depth shading, we'll turn it back on. So that being said, on my map here, I've got everything set to 5 foot depth increments. So say you guys are going to a brand new lake and you're going to try and find that offshore structure. That's something that I would highly recommend, going from 5 foot increments or 10 foot increments. That's going to show you the river channel. It's going to show you any little different high spots in just an otherwise vast situation in the lake. If you guys have the Garmin, I highly recommend using depth shading, especially if you're fishing a new body of water. It's really going to help you zero in on all that offshore structure and find some stuff that a lot of guys maybe otherwise wouldn't find. So yeah, now that we've got the depth shading set and I know exactly which high spot I'm gonna fish here, we're just gonna drive right over the top, kind of scan in and out of the contours themselves, check the deeper breaks, the more tapered breaks. Like I said, the wind was blowing from the south this morning. It's kind of died down quite a bit, and right now as we're going over the edge of this hump, I can already see fish that are stacked up right on the bottom on the wind-blown side, and they are layered up. That's kind of right where I expected them to be. That's the biggest thing when it comes to wind, and this comes from a long time of Great Lakes fishing where I'm from in Wisconsin, that if you have wind blowing, you know, 15 to 25, 30 miles an hour one day, and then the next day it's flat calm, fish where the wind was blowing into the day before, because it's likely that those fish are still going to be piled up in there. So that's kind of the program that we're on today. I've got kind of the area that I want to fish, just, you know, the drop-offs on those breaks. It's really nothing new as far as fishing is concerned. You're always looking for fish that are sitting on something, whether it be a break or at the top of the hump. Sometimes they're at the bottom, but they're never just gonna be scattered about on the bottom on a big deep flat. Most of the time they're always gonna be on something. So yeah, we're just gonna fish the area of the hump where the wind was blowing the hardest in this morning, throw some jigging baits around and see what happens. But just wanted to give you a quick Garmin overview of how we're gonna be fishing these spots today. So I guess the one thing I forgot to mention too is how we actually set up on these spots. So this is going to be a situation where I might put live scope down, but I'm not relying on it. With the way the wind's blowing over this spot right now, oh my God, look at that. We should probably get to fishing. But yeah, the way that I'm going to set up over these fish is pretty much just drive right over the top of them and then drift a little ways, and then I'm going to cast directly back to them. So essentially we're going to be working those baits down the hump. You really don't necessarily need live scope to do this. It obviously is going to make you a little bit more effective in certain situations, but this is how I fish for all these fish without live scope. Before I had live scope, before I had all these electronics, you just drive over the top of them, spot lock off away from them and cast directly to them, because obviously you're gonna have a straight line back. You're pretty much sharpshooting fish at that point. And the way that the wind's been blowing, I'd assume that those fish are gonna be sitting positioned upward on the hump, just waiting for bait to filter over the top. So we're just gonna be walking those baits right down. But that's what I'm gonna do, is now that I've gotten turned around over the top of those fish, just drive right over them and then spot lock, and we're just gonna cast right back to them. Now that is likely a big group of fish that was on the bottom, and then as soon as we went over them with the big motor, they probably got spooked up, but that's what we want to see right there, is those fish piled up right on the bottom. So again, we're just gonna drive right over the top of them. Transducers are right back there. We still see the fish. I'll take the boat out of gear, grab the Tarova remote and spot lock us. And that's all there is to it. So the downside to this video, I guess if there is a downside, is that I forgot my other GoPros. So we are just gonna have one chest angle. But yeah, that's what we're gonna be rocking with. We'll get this thing on my chest here and show you what we're doing and how we're doing it. All right, we're all set up here. So the way, like I said, the wind has kind of been shifting. We're getting like waves from one direction, wind from another. So those fish are actually probably gonna be off a little bit further this way. I think just to start out with, since we've got one right here, we'll just start with the old trusty Rapala jig and wrap. We'll likely try and fish a spoon also. That's something I've been trying to do a lot more of, but like I said, I mean, theoretically, if our spot lock held, those fish should be right back behind us. But the beauty of a search bait like this is you can kind of fan cast around and figure it out pretty quick. But we marked those fish a little bit deeper, and we're just gonna be actually on this angle working the opposite direction. But this is how we were catching them this morning. I think the one thing I should probably also mention is that when you're doing this, you wanna be ready to get that bait back right away to those fish. As soon as you mark them in a sharpshooting situation, I was obviously not prepared and had to get the camera ready and rigged up and stuff. But yeah, it's weird. The wind is doing weird stuff. The fish are here, but it's all gonna really just depend on how we're set up on them. And that's gonna determine our success rate. So we'll make a few casts around, but like I do with customers in the boat all the time, I mean, if we go over a group of fish like that and make 3 or 4 casts and not getting bit right away, it's likely that you just need to pack up, do a big circle, and set back up on those fish, because with that many there, you're gonna know pretty quick if they wanna do it or if you're set up right. So, oh, first bite right at the boat. It's just about to turn the camera off too and say, well, we'll just see what happens. First sign of life on the first cast. I can't tell if they're swimming up against it or if they're just nipping at it, but yeah, we've got fish here. So anyway, we'll fan cast around and just see what happens. Dude, nipping it all the way back to the boat. And that is one thing about the time of day too. I mean, I was hopeful that we would still have the big winds that we had from this morning when I was guiding. There we go. All the way to the boat. That one doesn't feel small. Nice white. Nice white out of the big pod. But anyway, like I was trying to say, I was hopeful that we would still have the big winds that we had this morning. This is not an ideal time of day to be fishing. It's 2:30 with the highest possible sun, but seeing as how I don't film on guide trips and I don't really feel like coming out in the evening and fighting the evening crowd if I don't have to, this is just what we're doing. But there's still plenty of fish around. They're still piled up from where they were before, and we have our first candidate on the second cast. So I'll just keep casting around and beat up on them until they're done, and then go find some fresh ones. Oof. Third cast and they're smacking it. That's one thing that boggles my mind just about, I don't know, mainly jigging wraps, but I guess anything with treble hooks in particular is, I mean, if I breathe on a jigging wrap wrong, it's in my clothes or my hand. And these whites, and not often wipers, mostly the whites, can just snap at it so fast and miss it and not get a hook in them. It just blows my mind. There we go. Oh my God. I can't even tell you. I mean, I made like 5 or 6 casts and I get brushed or kissed on every cast and they just are not connecting. That one tried swimming right at the boat as fast as he possibly could. But like I said, this is a very not ideal time of day, going strictly off a reaction strike. So not surprising, but this is just when I have time anymore to come out and make videos for you guys. So we're just making the best of it. Yeah, there we go. Uh-oh. I think it's big dirty channel. We caught 5 or 6 giant channel cats on this spot this morning, and I think that they're still here. I think it's somebody's bean hole. All these weird southern people are like, well, we need to go ferment soybeans and then chum the waters and then come out later, and it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Yeah, this is definitely a big kitty. I didn't mean to find your bean hole, guys. Big, stinky, slimy head shakes. Oh God, look at him. Look at that. Mr. Chanel. Boy, he hit it like a sumbitch though. God, that's a big channel. I don't even want to touch you. I just want my jigging wrap back. If I can get the hook and lift him up, I'll show you, but otherwise, he's just getting shaken off. Oh. Crap. Well, just tied 14-pound fluorocarbon on here, and that channel cat's gonna have some jewelry in his face. Sorry. The moral of the story is, when in doubt, don't be a dickhead like me and just grab the net. Just grab the net. Just grab the net. Well, I hope none of the purists get mad. Unfortunately, that does just happen sometimes, and fish get broken off with the lure in their mouth. That one was totally on me, but somebody's gonna have a nice surprise when they come back to their bean hole. Wow, that fish knocked so much slack in the line, I thought I got broken off. Still right back behind us right there. They're such quick little swipey bites. It's either that or they hit it and then run right at you. I think my jigging wrap is likely fouled up after that one. I can almost guarantee it. Yeah, it's about the only time this bait ever flips over on itself, is when you get one that pushes it like crazy like that and it flips over. Otherwise it stays pretty tangle free. Let's see if we can hook one on this cast here. Oh, man, they're quick and sneaky. We hooked one. I should have said, let's land one on this cast, not just hook one, because they are fussy. There he is. Knocking slack in it again. I like that slower fall. Quick pop, slower fall. Not a channel, just a big white bass. 2:30 in the afternoon, the day after Labor Day, you can't beat it. He's got it. I was just about to say, let's pick up and reposition ourselves here, but of course, every time I ever say that, then I get bit. This guy does not want to cooperate. Never a bad time when you're catching 40 or 50 of those in a trip. Especially when you find them off in the middle of nowhere on structure that you found all by yourself using your Garmin units. Can't beat it. Oh God. Oh boy. Is it slimy again? I think it's all slimy. Yeah, what is it? I don't know, it feels weird. Now it, yeah, channel. Oh, he's got me in a tree. Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh yeah, he's in there. Shit. Oh, well. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get him out of this one. Seeing as how it's a channel and he'll just stay in there. Let's see if we get lucky. I really wasn't planning on losing another jigging wrap. Oh, he's still on there. Oh, he's definitely still on there. Sitting here trying to shake it off. Swim, swim. I can feel him kicking. Yeah, just came over the spot. You can see the tree right there, and then look at all those fish right on the other side of it. Likely more channels. I don't think this guy's coming out though. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to eat this one. Yeah. All right, well, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive of a day than anticipated. All right, well, that kind of sucked. But we just got repositioned on some of these fish here real quick. Picked up the spoon. Probably should have showed it to you before casting it out. White and chartreuse spink spoon. One of my oldest sponsors, a tried and true bait. If you guys have not seen my latest spoon video, I'll link that up there or down below or something, but definitely a much less expensive route to jigging up these fish like we are. So we'll just see if they want some spoon. Could probably size down and change the color, but could probably size down and change the color. But yeah, that's what that guy looks like. Could use something a little bit more flashy, but we'll just toss this one around and see what happens. Still lots of fish down there, still lots to be caught. There we go. Thumped it. Absolutely thumped it on the fall. Gonna be a nice white, I think. Yep. Dogging me like a nice white. On the old Banks spoon, 1/2 ounce, kind of the average size that I use. That's a nice one. Nice white. Actually, that is, yep, just a big white. That's one thing sometimes I think you get with this that you don't get with the jigging Rap is that slower fall, whereas the jigging Rap, you know, just darts real quick down. The Banks is obviously gonna flutter. Yeah, nice average 15.5, 16 incher. But yeah, he cracked it. He cracked it good, and they're just right behind us. Nice. Should have been doing that the whole time so I didn't lose 2 jigging Raps. There he is. Another one that hit it on the fall. That group is looking pretty nice back there. Glued right down to bottom. Just like you want them when you're fishing this bait. Just dandies. Perfect release. Pitch it back. Catch another one. Got him. Got caught on a tree. Don't know if it was the same tree. Popped it off the tree, let it fall, and it fell right into his mouth. Right into his dirty white bass mouth. Another one just nipped it. Gosh, it's such a bread and butter bait to fish. Like, guys have been doing this for years and years. Oh God, diarrhea. Oh, I can smell it. Okay, go back in the water. Whew, nothing like shad diarrhea from a white bass to really clear your sinuses. Oh yeah. They're even closer to the boat now than they were before. Right on the other side of the tree. White bass on a tree. Thinking like you're a crappie or something. Well, the wind is up and down. It's blowing for a second, then it's not, then it's blowing. But these fish are a lot more aggressive than I expected them to be. But like I said, they're probably still in that mode of thinking that there's wind there, and they're on the other side of that hump just chilling, waiting for a shad to swim by. Dude, they're all just so nasty. Diarrhea everywhere. But like I was saying, I mean, these, you know, they're not 8 to 10 pound wipers like we'll be doing later into October and November, but to be able to come out with a 1/2 ounce spoon, graph a group of fish and catch one on every cast like this, that's just about as much fun as a guy can have. especially if you want to have a big fish fry. The limit's like 50. Just go out, catch a bunch, eat a bunch. When they spawn, they reproduce like rabbits, and there's millions of them. And just a blast to catch. That's a nice one right there. Really nice one. Yeah. So this one I'm gonna put on the musky bumper for you guys, just so you have a size reference for what a big white bass is in Kansas. That's a tank. A dark one too. Dark white bass, blue fins. I'd say he's gonna be right around 16 inches, probably. God damn it, fish. All right, put him on the bumper here, just so you guys have a good size reference. Average size today is, yep, 16 and a half. Whoop, 16 and a half, right on the nose. We love big white bass. They are our friends. He's just gonna sit there for now until he cools off a little bit. There you go. Oh yeah. Man, they are thick over there. Holy mackerel. Definitely got the cast down now, as you guys can see. Well, maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't know. Our breeze is like totally died. It's getting hot. I've literally been here for about 30 minutes and have this video pretty much done. Ooh, thanks, buddy. So yeah, we'll catch a few more, go over a few things, and I'm gonna take off because it is hot. My evening guide trips are now done for the summer. I'm just mornings only now. So I have a lot more time to get out after a guide trip, make a video, and then edit it the same day and decide whenever I want to put it out. So very excited about that, having a lot of free time again. Still just as busy guiding, just not doing 2-a-days for the summer anymore. It's booked like crazy. I'm booked through almost the second week in November right now, so that's insane. Looking forward to a fun fall and putting out content for you guys. But yeah, let's catch a few more and get out of here because it is hot. There we go. They are still indeed there and biting. But we could do this all day long. Unpressured fish, with the exception of myself. Literally, you guys can't even see that big cloud of diarrhea that he just expelled into the water. This is how we let those guys go. Get off it. Okay, it's not gonna work. He's like, no, I'd rather just make a bowel movement all over you. These smaller guys always get every single barb in their mouth. White and chartreuse still getting it done. Whoa! I was just reeling the bait back to the boat. Then I went to reach for something in my pocket and the bait sat there for a half a second and I just got hammered. Look at pretty blue fins. These white bass look so neat. Blue fins. I don't know what causes that, but it is a thing. Our size is getting smaller. It seems as that we've thinned the herd here significantly. But that's okay because they're all fun. We're gonna go over some tackle, all the stuff that we're using, do one more recap on the Garmin's, and then we're gonna get out of here. All right, guys, well, that's just gonna about do it for us today. But before we wrap things up, let's recap all the tackle and stuff real quick. So like you saw initially, I was obviously getting bit on the jig and wrap, but then switched up to the bink spoon. If you guys didn't see my last video on that, like I said before, it'll be linked down below on where you guys can get some of these bink spoons and save 15% with my discount code right here. But yeah, I mean, you really got your bread and butter whites here, the chartreuse, you know, fire tiger, pink lemonade, really like that one. Some purples obviously, but really, really awesome colors. So we've got 1/4 ouncers here, the little guys, some 3/8, all halves, 3/4, all the way up to 1 ounce. So primarily for everything that I do, I'm fishing anywhere from the 3/8 to 1/2 ounce. I will size down to the 1/4. Pretty rare that I use that size, but they do work well for crappie too. So for anything from 3/8 to 1/2 ounce, maybe 3/4, that's when, as far as fishing rods go, you're gonna want that 7-foot medium. Anything that you normally use for your snap jig rods, so like 6'8" all the way up to 7'1", but you definitely want that medium action. You want good snap on that rod. I kind of found that medium lights are just a little bit too flippy for spoons. I mean, you can get away with it with the jigging wraps because I like the parabolic action of the rod, especially for fighting big fish, but with the spoons, you really want a hard snap. So anything from medium to medium heavy on the spinning rod side, but if you do size up to a 3/4, 1, even up to 2 ounce, that's where I kind of find that a bait caster is oftentimes going to be a lot better. So here we've got the 7'3" medium heavy Fox River bait casting rod. This has got a 3/4 ounce Binks on there. And then so for the reel, we've got the PC Fun Alloy M, the 7:5 gear ratio with the spoon. You want to pick up a lot of line really quick. But like I said, for anything from 3/4 up to a 2 ounce, that's where you're gonna have to bump up to a bait caster more than likely, especially if you're ripping vertical. You're gonna wear yourself out with a spinning rod. So definitely recommend the 7'3" medium heavy from Fox River. But yeah, like I talked about in my last video, as far as the line, I'm using 15-pound mainline braid, the PC Fun Onyx braid, and then I'll bump up to, as far as the leader, a 14 to 17-pound monofilament leader. On the casting rod, that one I've got 14-pound fluorocarbon, but a lot of times I'll use 17 like on my flipping stick, especially for those heavier spoons. That's about it for the tackle side. I'll give you one last look at the box of Binks. Again, you guys can use the code down below to get 15% off of these guys. Get any size you want, get a bunch of different colors, because especially this guy right here, real cute color, pink lemonade, and then this one right here, really like that one. So we've got tackle out of the way. Let's do one more recap on how you're actually going to find these fish on the lake. So just like we talked about in the beginning, I really do recommend, if you have a Garmin unit, even Humminbird has this feature as well, using the depth shading, especially if you're on a new body of water, because that's really going to help you isolate those big humps that you're looking for when fish are going to get set up on that structure. Always want to fish the windy side, check the windy side, check the wind blown side. Wind is always your friend. It's going to blow all the bait fish onto those pieces of structure that you're looking for, and then in turn, that's where the fish are going to set up. On any high spot like that, it's just a big ambush point for the fish. But again, having depth shading is really going to help you isolate that on your Garmin units here. And as far as live scope goes, I mean, obviously I'd probably normally be using live scope, but I think the biggest thing that I like to preach is that live scope is just another tool in your tool belt. This is not a technique where you need live scope. I have tons of other videos on my channel from the past, from before I had live scope, doing the same thing, where I just go find the fish, drive upwind from the fish, set up, cast back behind the boat. You know the fish are there, so you don't need to run out and get live scope. And I can, you know, anytime I don't need live scope, I'm probably not going to be using it. So that's why I like to do these videos, even though the live scope videos are cool. But if you're on a budget and you can only afford one unit, this Garmin Echomap 93 SV is definitely going to be your best option. Obviously I run two because I like having one for maps and then one for sonar, 2 dedicated units. Don't want to waste any screen real estate if you don't have to, but if you're down to one, obviously you can run split screens on here, set your shortcuts so you've got map on one side and then sonar on the other, and you guys can go out and do this exact same thing without live scope. So now that I'm done talking, as far as the rest of this week goes, Danny and I actually leave for Mexico for a little vacation for 5 days at the end of this week. That's why I wanted to come out today and get this video done. No, I'm not going to be doing any fishing down there. This is a no fishing vacation for me, just for her and I to go and unwind. I've never actually been out of the country before, so I'm really looking forward to going down to Cozumel. This may be the last time you see me before we end up in Cozumel for 4 or 5 days. But again, links are in the description for all the tackle that we use down below, discount codes for each and every one of them. So please go support those guys. They support me, they support the guide service, and they support this channel. Always hope I put out some sort of educational content for everyone. I don't want this to just be go out and catch one fish and talk about bullshit for 14 minutes, even though I just catch fish and do both at the same time. But I want there to be some sort of educational aspect to it, especially with all of the Garmin stuff. So I hope you guys find those to all be helpful. But thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you when we're back in the United States.